In the spring of 2022, as Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine, engineers in factories thousands of miles away, in Taiwan, in South Korea, in Arizona, quietly began to panic. Not about oil, not about wheat, but about a gas almost no one outside a few factories had ever heard of. It has no color, no smell. You breathe a tiny amount of it with every single breath and never once notice. And yet, without it, the most advanced machine humanity has ever built simply stops working. The phone in your hand, the car in your driveway, the weapons that defend entire nations, all of them depend on this one invisible gas. This is the strange, hidden story of neon, a leftover from one of our oldest industries that quietly became the lifeblood of the West. Most people know neon from one place: the glowing signs of city streets at night. That warm red-orange glow in a bar window, that really is neon gas, lit up by electricity. But that is a party trick, a tiny, almost trivial use of the element. Neon's real job is invisible, hidden deep inside the machines that print the modern world on the silicon. Neon is a noble gas. It refuses to react, refuses to burn, refuses to change. And that stubbornness is exactly why it is so valuable. Because to carve the impossibly tiny patterns of a computer chip, you need light. A very specific, very violent kind of light. Inside every chip factory sits a machine called a lithography scanner, the most precise machine ever manufactured. It uses lasers to etch circuits on a silicon, circuits thousands of times thinner than a single human hair. These are not ordinary lasers. They are excimer lasers, firing deep ultraviolet light in blinding, rapid pulses. And to create that light, the laser is filled with a gas mixture. The main ingredient, making up most of the mix, is neon. Without neon, the laser cannot fire. Without the laser, the patterns cannot be etched. Without the patterns, there is no chip. Every smartphone, every laptop, every car computer, every missile guidance system begins as light shining through neon. It is one of the quiet choke points of the entire modern economy, and almost no one knows it is even there. So where does this precious gas actually come from? Here is where the story turns strange. Neon is not mined from the ground. It is not manufactured in some gleaming high-tech lab. It is a leftover, a byproduct of one of the oldest, heaviest industries on Earth, the making of steel. To make steel, factories need vast amounts of pure oxygen, which they pull from the air itself by freezing it into liquid. And when you freeze the air apart, hidden inside it, just 18 parts in a million, is neon. So the gas that powers the world's most advanced technology is scraped in tiny amounts from the exhaust of furnaces that have barely changed in a century. The newest industry on Earth quietly depends on the leavings of one of the oldest. But that raw gas has to be collected and purified to an almost unimaginable level of cleanliness. And for years, an enormous share of that purification happened in one single place: Ukraine. Plants in cities like Mariupol and Odessa refine much of the world's chip-grade neon, often from crude gas piped in from Russian steel mills. By some estimates, roughly half of the neon the entire global chip industry relied on flowed through this one region. A single, narrow supply line running straight through one of the most volatile borders in the world. Then, in February 2022, the war came. The plants went dark. The purification stopped. And overnight, the invisible thread holding up the chip industry was cut. Neon prices soared. Chip makers, already starved by a global shortage, scrambled for every cylinder they could find. For a few tense months, the world got a glimpse of just how fragile the whole system really was. The entire digital economy, trillions of dollars of technology, hung on a gas from the war zone. Chip makers had stockpiled just enough to survive. Barely. And the world began to scramble, determined never to be caught like that again. China rapidly ramped up its own neon production. Steel plants elsewhere raced to capture the gas they had always thrown away. Companies learned to recycle neon, reusing the same gas over and over instead of venting into the sky. The crisis slowly eased, but the lesson did not, because neon is not unique. It is just one single thread in a vast, invisible web. The modern world runs on dozens of these hidden choke points. A single gas, a single mineral, a single factory, a single string. Each one cheap, overlooked, and quietly holding up something enormous. And most of the time, we never notice them at all, until one day, one of them is suddenly cut. The next time you unlock your phone, remember the invisible gas, scraped from steel, refined at the edge of a war, that helped carve its mind into being. If this changed how you see the ordinary things, there's a whole hidden world in these fights. Over water, over metal, over the gases the modern world quietly runs on. Subscribe, and you'll never look at ordinary things the same way again.